Hey guys, well, sports with Mono and Mono. It's October 25th, 25, and we're here, of course, with our regular time slot back. And I'm here with Eli Weintraub, and Eli's got some pictures to share from his Big East Media Day at Madison Square Garden, and we're going to talk about that as well. So Eli, how you doing?
I'm doing great. The weather, it's cold outside, and we are one step closer before Mariah Carey says all I want for Christmas on November 1st, because we know that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
just get ready, folks, for Saturday. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Eli.
Let's start off with the monologue.
Sponsored, of course, by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And I guess this isn't going to be a big surprise, but it is something that I feel a little bit vindicated on, that this sports gambling is ruining sports. And a lot of people could say there's two things, right? They seem to have Terry Rozier pretty much, with fingerprints on the gun, so to speak. And, a lot of people say, okay, well, the Chauncey Billups thing, all he was doing was playing poker at the executive game, like on The Sopranos, and fixing games. But you have to question his credibility. He's the head coach of a National Basketball Association team. So if he can be compromised to be working with the mob, if you will, he could easily be compromised by game time decisions and whether he's going to put guys in or not put guys in. So this is really a situation that I saw coming for a long, long time, and we've already had instances, particularly right now in the NBA, of guys, and they get them dead to rights, and it's people that you know subscribe to the FanDuel, DraftKings, all of this stuff. And I keep talking to these guys about, is anybody winning? Do you guys win at this stuff? And sometimes they do, and most times they don't. So Eli, it's a very disturbing story, but this is only the tip of the iceberg, and there's going to be more. And you and I have talked about it a lot of times with even in the NFL, some of these questionable calls by the referees and so forth that ultimately can determine the outcome of a game. So, but now this is the bed that the sports leagues have made. They're in bed with all of these gambling sites, thing, and this isn't a big surprise to me. And I think it's going to happen more and more and more. And people just don't think people are watching. Well, it is watching. And Adam Silver came on yesterday and said he's deeply disturbed. Well, first of all, Terry Rozier was on their radar 2 years ago. So I don't know all the backstories of you know what transpired there, but it is really something that and I'm not gloating here because it's disturbing to me because I've grown up watching these sports and I just never realized it was going to get to a point where gambling is so prevalent in these major sports. What are your thoughts?
There's a couple thoughts I have in mind. Well, first off, if we look at these two that got arrested that are from the NBA, Terry and Chauncey, uh, they're part of a big mafia group. It was not just those two; they were part of many people involved in this event that took place, and that is the reason why the FBI is involved and all these other legal organizations. If not, that would have been something that the NBA would have taken care of. Just find them, suspended them for a couple games because it violated their policy and so forth. But because many people were involved and this was a global thing involving not just thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, that is the reason why the FBI was involved in this case. The second point I want to bring up, gambling has brought in more viewership to these sports than prior. And it's amazing what it has done. And it also brought in more money for the league, more money for the players, and it gave fans a reason why I should tune in. That's certain how I look at it. Prior, I can't tell you certain people would be watching an NBA game like they are now. Now they're watching an NBA game because they want to know, did Steph Curry make said threes? Did he make 15 threes? Did LeBron James score 16 threes? What was going on? What was why? And now you got people engaged because of this. There is a reason now to watch. Prior, there was no reason to watch. At that point, you could watch a Netflix show like Stranger Things, and you would be fine. And the
Okay.
thing is, how I look at it is if you're coaching or playing, or if you're part of a job that doesn't allow you to gamble or do certain things, you shouldn't be gambling, and that's just the bottom line. And if you do decide to gamble, appropriate action should be taken, including fines, suspensions, and maybe not even continuing on with your job. And that's just my opinion.
And listen, I'm going to give you some credit here because you have talked about this, that it does have a duration to the ratings of these sports, and ratings mean everything to these leagues. And you've been absolutely spot on about, yes, viewership has increased. People are watching the WNBA in record numbers, and you're right, because it does generate interest. So if you're the commissioners of these leagues, you're saying, hey, this is a great thing for our league, because the more viewership, the more sponsorship money they get, and the more leverage they have to put their games on streaming services and all that stuff. Because you're right, if you're a kid sitting there on your phone and you have bets on, you're going to watch a game that you may normally not have watched. So
That's the bottom line.
I'm going to give you credit for that, because I think I've been right on the detriment of sports gambling, and you've been spot on about the viewership. So there's a correlation there, but this is a very bad situation for major sports, and it's going to happen time and time again.
And you're absolutely right about that. I'm going to just bring up another point there. Streaming has just grown so much the past years, and it continues to grow. And there is no question about it. And I think a big reason why it's growing is, again, as you mentioned, the gambling. Gambling is one big part of it, and more viewers watching it. And I think that's the reason why we have more games going to streaming, because now you can just pop up on your phone like this, watch the Knicks game, and then, oh, next thing, let me switch the app, make a quick bet, and there you go.
Yep,
That's
you're
just
right.
that's just how it's become. It really has. We do have a couple comments. I want to get to that real quick. Guy Coriano says, "Good morning." Good morning, Guy. Diego
Okay.
says, "Hello, boys," and good morning to you, Diego. William, who I got to see this week, says, "Good morning." Good morning to you, William. And Eric, it is 10:25:25. So happy to be catching sports with Mono and Mono live. Eric.
Well, he's a loyal listener, and it's growing. I mentioned to Eli before the show, I had a friend of mine who, oh, I have a friend of mine who's very into sports, and I had a conversation with him, and he's really, he likes the show. His name is Alan, and Alan's kind of going to be a loyal listener, so we're trying to make sure we get our loyal listeners as part of our show. And once
Absolutely.
we do some dial-in thing, I love it. But I, I'm just delighted with the way our show's been going, and jump into some stuff. We got
Yeah. Well, let's
let's
go to baseball. I mean, what a
okay.
game last night. And I think a surprise to many. I don't think a lot of people expected the Blue Jays to perform like they did last night. I mean, we thought maybe the Dodgers would be the Dodgers, play what they did. But no, we saw last night an 11-4 game and a victory for the Blue Jays in game one. The atmosphere in Toronto was incredible. The anthem performances in the beginning was phenomenal. Something that I think it gave a lot of people some chills, even if you're not from Canada and not from the US. Same correlation there. And how about that home run? I'm not home run, grand slam from Addison Bargar. That was awesome. What a way to continue this lead for the Blue Jays. And this is a team to watch out for. Will they win the World Series? Is that what we're seeing here? Or is it going to be the Dodgers? I don't know. Blue Jays look
Well,
promising.
listen, I'll tell you this, because a lot of people look at the Dodgers, and actually Toronto had one more win during the regular season than the Dodgers.
Which is true.
And we knew that the Achilles heel for the Dodgers, certainly in the second half of the season, was their bullpen. And it looked like they righted that ship in the playoffs leading up to the World Series, but it came back, and they gave up 9 runs, which is the second most in one inning in World
Yeah.
Series history. So if the Dodgers can't fix this, and Dave Roberts doesn't pull the right strings, um, then they could be in trouble. So again, this is the same situation we've talked about. The Mets with their payroll didn't even make the playoffs. The Dodgers have the highest payroll. That doesn't guarantee anything. And right now, the Toronto Blue Jays are hot. They came back from a 2-0 deficit against the Seattle Mariners in the championship series. So this is going to be a really good series, and it's a showcase, obviously,
Of
for
talent.
Ohtani and Vlad Guerrero Jr. and this, but it's very, very exciting, and I think this is great for baseball.
It is great for baseball and also for the people of Canada too, because we were watching. Like I saw some highlights on Twitter and stuff. The Calgary Flames hockey game last night. They were showing the Blue Jays game on. It means something more, not just for the Toronto area, but just in Canada in general. I mean, it really is, a
Yep.
special sight to see, and it's awesome. We do have a
Yeah, no,
comment from
I'm
William. He did say the NBA needs to hold its players accountable, and owners, the NBA has a good group of fans accountable is the key.
that's what we've said all along, William. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
Yeah,
you're right on it. Um, but yeah, listen. So we got a long way to go. We probably could be looking at a 7-game series if the Dodgers can
possibly.
right the bullpen. So
Yeah. Well, game two is tonight. It's on Fox, and all
eight
the games are
o'clock.
on Fox. Yep, 8 o'clock. And the
8 o'clock.
one last note from the MLB before we move off: Angels hire Kurt Suzuki as their new manager.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting because I thought for sure that they would try to at least bring the fans back in by hiring Albert Pujols, who doesn't have obviously a lot of managerial experience, but he's
Right.
he's a popular guy. He could surround himself with good coaches. I think that was a bad move for a franchise that hasn't done anything right, and it's kind of wasted Mike Trout's career and so forth. So yeah,
All right. Well, I have another comment I want to get to, and then we'll go to the NFL in a second. William says, "Will the World Series go 7 games?" Jim, you're saying yes.
I
Am I?
do, I do.
I think it's going to go to 6. I'm still saying Dodgers going to win it, but the way the Toronto's playing, don't be surprised they come back.
Yeah. Um, oh, by the
Oh,
way, I like the spooky little
yeah, I know, right?
lettering.
I appreciate it. Yeah, for Halloween. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Good.
Let's go to the NFL now, and I think everybody wants to know. Not before we get to Sandy Shore, we'll get to that later. But everybody wants to know what are our thoughts on that crazy New York Giants football game that shocked the world. I'm sure you probably did. I did. I turned off the TV, went out, had to turn on WFAN in the car because it was that type of game. The Giants were winning the entire game up until the fourth quarter. 5 minutes left. They blew the lead. They tie it up, Denver. Denver wins the game. The kicking was horrible. The defense in
Yep.
the fourth quarter was horrible. I
Yep.
mean, what a joke. But it was the Giants looked promising, but that fourth quarter didn't look promising. And the sad part too is the loss isn't on Dable. Dable did a great job. It was on players. That's what it came down to. But go ahead, Jim.
Well, okay. And listen, of course, and I don't turn off games until the games are over. And this
Okay.
was, yeah, this was kind of in the bag, 19-0, 9 minutes left in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. And yeah, maybe it is a little bit more on Dable than you think. I mean, he has this
Hmm.
kicker who
But
hasn't
that's
really
management,
ever,
though.
yeah, well, maybe.
Well, that's we'll go to that. Yeah.
But it's certainly not on Jackson Dart, who's proving that
Well,
he's, listen, he threw the interception. We get that, but you still had a 19-point lead, and you have to look at the defensive um, play calls near the end of the game, and they were playing what we call a prevent defense, and we know all that a prevent defense does is give the other team an opportunity to win this game. So it was one in a million games. Yeah, I was disappointed as a Giants fan, but this is the NFL, and crazy things can happen. So listen, you're right. The Giants were 2-4 going in, so now instead of being 3-4, they're 2-5, which pretty much, that's gonna, now they got to go to Philly tomorrow, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it was a shocker. But sometimes crazier things have happened over the course of my lifetime watching NFL games, and things like that happen.
Yeah, but I want to go back to your point though. How do we know it's Dable's fault for the kicker? If the kicker can't kick, how is that Dable's fault? I mean, it really is on management. Did management want him here? Why didn't management pick up another kicker? Or why didn't the management choose something else? That's more than just Dable, in my opinion. The
Yeah.
defense, it's not his fault that the defensive coordinator to tell the defense, okay, you could sleep for the fourth quarter and we can go ahead and lose the game. It's okay. Really, and back to Jackson Dart too. There was a lot of mistakes Jackson Dart did. At points he was just throwing to nowhere at one point. Yeah, it's rookie mistakes, rookie quarterback. When
Rookie.
you're in a situation, no question about it, it's a rookie mistake, no problem. But when you're in a situation when you had the lead for majority of the game, but then you are down to the wire, and this is the things you do, it's unacceptable. Regardless if you're a rookie or not. You're telling me you would have done the same if this was a college game and this was the score and this was the situation you were in? No, doesn't matter. You played football. This ain't your first time playing football. Yeah, you're a rookie, maybe in the NFL, but these are mistakes that shouldn't be happening. But yet again, the Giants quarterback situation is the best either. I still think Dart has a lot of potential. I think he is a great quarterback and absolutely rookie mistakes, but there is some fault on him, and not just you know, and you can just let him slide. There are some
I
fault
I,
on
I
him,
know, Eli,
not
but then
100%, but there
but
is
but
fault.
in some instances, Dable is the head coach, and yes, he lets Shane Bowen make decisions about, like, why wasn't Dexter Lawrence in the game when he should have been in the game. Those are personnel decisions that the head coach has to take accountability for, and um, there's enough blame to go around. But this was a really heartbreaking loss for the Giants because they were gaining momentum, and we've seen in the beginning of this season with the Ravens being 1-5, and the Chiefs got off to a slow start. So it's a 17 game schedule, but this is a setback that they may not recover from this
No,
year. Yeah.
no, that's for sure. I think that's one of the biggest losses, and that should have been a win, and that win would have changed the future for this New York Giants program the rest of the way. But with that loss, you got to now win these important games going forward. Like, for example, tomorrow they have that Philadelphia game. There are some injuries you have to take note from the Philadelphia side. You have A.J. Brown out for the Eagles. So now this should be, you know, some help for the New York Giants. Maybe they can get a win in like they did on Thursday night just a week ago. Could
Yep.
they get another win like this? We'll talk about that in our picks later. But
All right. All right. And I got two other teams that I want to single out because remember we started our little keep them in or kick them out, that kind of
yeah, of
scenario. And
course.
the two teams that we have to raise this question to are the New York Jets, who are just absolutely awful looking. And it doesn't appear that Aaron Glenn has control of this. And a lot of people, I know Kenny Backert is a loyal listener of ours, that the Jets had an opportunity. They hired Robert Saleh, a defensive guy. They needed an offensive guy to be the head coach of that team. And unfortunately for Aaron Glenn, they're 0-7, and you can't deny that. So he's not going to get fired, during this season. But for a New York Jets fan to continuously watch this and go 0-7 to start an NFL season is unforgivable. And I don't know
Well,
that he's going to survive. But you have the owner, throwing his quarterback under the bus, and this is the Woody Johnson, maybe the worst owner in all of sports. Um, so it's kind of frustrating. And then you have also the Miami Dolphins. And you and I've talked about it. I've never been a Tua fan. I just never thought that he had the arm strength and so forth. And it has just absolutely blown up. So when you say keep him in or kick him out, well, Mike McDaniel's days are definitely numbered. And, it was kind of a little romance in the beginning when he started, and he was supposedly this genius, but he seems like he's completely lost control. There's no motivation, and those are the two teams that stand out to me. The Baltimore Ravens, right? 1-5. And yes, they missed their starting quarterback the past 3 weeks. They will right this ship a little bit if Jackson comes back. They're not a 1-5 team. Their defense, although they're not playing well, are still solid on paper. So there's so much going on in the NFL, and let's talk a little bit about the games that we have coming up
Well,
this week.
I want to just go back to your point about Lamar Jackson and the Jets and those 2 points right there. First off, with the Jets, their entire team is horrible, and there's no question about it. I think at this point, Aaron Glenn is going to be fired within the next couple of weeks, and there's no question about it. I don't think he's going to finish the season off. Why? You're telling me you can go, it's acceptable to go 0-7, potentially 0-8 after tomorrow? That is unacceptable. I mean,
100%.
what's the goal here? You have no quarterback, no defense. There's nothing on this team that's good. This whole team needs to be rechanged coming up in the offseason and the draft.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a joke, and I think a lot of it is on the head coach. How is it possible that the past couple games are so close, but yet you can't win? 13-6 was the final for the Panthers Jets. The previous game was, I believe, 13-11 with the Denver Broncos.
I know.
You're telling me you can't win those games? If it's that close, defense is phenomenal. They can
Well,
stop the football.
Well,
Where's
it
the
sounds
offense? Where is the offense? That is my
it
point.
sounds like we have 2 easy answers to keep him in or kick him out. I think Glenn, he'll survive the season,
I think he's out.
but he won't be back as the Jets coach. And Mike McDaniel is definitely done. So,
Well, one more thing. To Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, I don't, if he does, he's questionable for tomorrow. If he does play, I still don't think the Ravens will perform the way they should, but we'll see about that tomorrow. But yeah, I think you got to look at this Ravens team. If there's no Lamar Jackson, they're pretty much in jeopardy with this Ravens team. And that's the same situation
yeah,
like with the Bengals. Without Joe Burrow, they can't really win much games unless they play weaker opponents. They'll likely get a win tomorrow because they play the Jets, the Bengals. But still, they need those 2 players. They need the quarterbacks. The Ravens and the Bengals are 2 teams that rely so heavily on the quarterback, and it's not even funny. It's true.
yep,
We have a comment
you're
again from
right.
William. He says the Giants lost the game because the kicker lost the game for them. He missed 2 key field goals in that game and the defense. And it's the same point we made, and they are exactly right about that, William.
And listen, going into tomorrow's game, there's still questions about the kicker.
Of course.
They got this guy from Atlanta, you or something, whatever his name
Yeah.
is, but apparently he can't cook, or maybe something's happened to his mindset. So they're going to have to go with a guy that's kind of injured. So that's going to play a part in the game because now you have a kicker, like you have a kicker on Dallas who can kick the ball 68 yards. And if the Giants, it comes down to a 45-yarder or more, you have a kicker that's dealing with a groin injury. And that's
Yeah.
what they're going
Well,
with.
I just want to
I've
say,
told people this. They should let Bulls play and try out all 25 guys
it's
on
the New
that
York
thing,
Red Bulls,
and
by the way. But
somebody
yeah. Well,
digress.
second, there's also a show called College Game Day that happens every Saturday, and they do a thing called the kicking contest. And so
I
far,
know.
they gave away a lot of money. These guys can kick, so maybe you want to go to College Game Day, pick up a kicker because they have a better shot at kicking. I mean, it's sad that
All
this is
right.
the story we're coming to. Couple other notes before we go to our picks. Jaden Daniels is out for this week for the Commanders. Another loss once again for Washington, who play a very tough Chiefs team. This is going to be a question for them. Bryce Young is out for the Panthers this week, and Buccaneers Mike Evans will miss most of the season due to an injury. I mean, the injuries just continue on, and these are some big names once again out for week number 8 and potentially even the rest of the season, like we see with Bryce Young.
And you know what's so funny, Eli? Obviously, I have a few years on you, so I've been watching this game for my entire life.
Correct.
And I can't remember ever watching these teams and starting quarterbacks, wide receivers, guys going out. I mean, Jack Lambert never missed the game. I mean, all of these guys, they played the entire season, and yet now with all the advanced equipment and so forth, players are getting injured, and I can't rationalize why this has happened.
What answer if you play him at MetLife Stadium and you take on the turf, you're going to get injured. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That's one example of the turf. Everywhere else, I don't know. But yeah. And finally, the last note I have is the NFL announced that the Pro Bowl games will continue, but will be moved to Super Bowl week. They'll take place on February 3rd, the Tuesday before the Super Bowl, and the games will be in San Francisco. Let him
Yeah.
be.
Nobody watches that anyway, so
I know.
nobody's gonna
Well,
watch.
I think everybody wants to see the chart. Everybody's dying to know what's going on
I'm
in the
dying to
world.
know.
I know you're dying to know. Me too. Even though I made the chart, so I know. And I cried when I looked at it. Here we go. Jim is making a comeback, folks. He really is, and you could throw the confetti up if you like. 12-11 is where Jim
Eh.
stands. He had a perfect week. 15-8 for me. I had two bad losses because I decided to pick the Buccaneers and the Giants. So Jim is making a comeback. Again, we picked 3 games, so I will still keep the crown, but there's a chance for Jim to tie if I go 0-3, which I hope is not the case.
Well,
And as always, good luck.
we
And
got
let's
a
go
long
to
way
the
to go, Eli. So you
yeah. Well, let's go to the picks.
all right. And I'll do my picks first. And for
Yeah.
full disclosure, Eli and I talked about this. I forgot there was a Thursday night game, but I did pick the Chargers to beat Minnesota. But I'm not going to count that because I don't want my
Yes. And
integrity called into question.
yes.
So I
And the
have
reason why we discussed it during the show, there's no proof that Jim picked the Chargers. There's no spreadsheet confirmation, no video announcement on Facebook or any of our social medias or YouTube. There's no proof. So we cannot count that as a game. There needs to be proof. So if
fair
you want
enough.
to go for the next game, if you want to pick a Thursday night game, just send your proof in to me. I'll be happy to post it on our social medias and YouTube. And then there's your proof.
Wow. Okay. I guess my integrity is being called into question
Hey,
here, which is
nowadays with the whole gambling
fine.
stuff, we don't know what Jim is doing on the side now. So we have
All
to be
right.
cautious about everything.
All right. All right. Here's my 3 games of the week. Buffalo at Carolina. And I know Buffalo's been struggling a little bit. I didn't realize that Bryce Young was going to be out, but either way I was going to take the Buffalo Bills because they're a much better team than their record indicates. So I'm going with Buffalo. Second game, Chicago, Baltimore. And yeah, the question is around whether Lamar Jackson's going to play or not. I don't think the Ravens, although they've been playing poorly, they still have a lot of talent on that team. So I look for them to bounce back. I'm not overly convinced that the Chicago Bears are this resurgent team. So I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. I guess you can call it an upset, but they are at home.
They are
And
favored, though,
then,
believe it or not, 6.5.
right. And the third game I'm taking is Dallas at Denver. And now this may surprise a little bit because, the Dallas defense is horrific. But, aside from there was 3/4 of that game where the Denver defense isn't as renowned as everyone made them out to be. Giants scored some points. And Dallas, Dak Prescott's having a good year. They do have a solid offense. So I'm going to go with Dallas for the upset. So Buffalo, Baltimore, Dallas. And I turn it over to my partner for
Well,
his 3 games.
before I get to it, I love these comments coming in. Come on, man, Jim. What are we doing here with these cupcake games? Come on, man, from Guy Coriano. So obviously you're picking cupcake games like the Bills game. So
I think one point needs to be made. There are no cupcake games.
yes, there are. Look at the schedule. Let me go through before I make my picks. Let's go through the schedule. Dolphins, Falcons, number 1.
Right. No one's going to take that, though. I'm not taking that.
Of course, but that's a cupcake game. Jets, Bengals. Okay, Bills, Panthers, another one. What else do we have? Browns, Patriots. I mean, that's another one. Chiefs, Commanders. That's another one. Because now you have Jaden Daniels hurt. Titans, Colts. I mean, the list goes on and on.
You pick your games, and I'll pick mine.
Okay, but again, these are just from our fans, not me. These are our fans just relaying the message, of course.
Go ahead.
And I just want to bring out to your point. There was a stat I believe yesterday I saw. Dallas has not won at Denver for I don't think ever or a while. So just keep that in mind. So
Yep.
good luck on that one. All right, let's go. Let's go to the games. Bears Ravens. Interesting game. We don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson. Will he play? Will he not play? And then you have this Bears team has a decent record right now, but see to me. I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going the Bears for the victory. Final score 26-20, and that's an upset because the Ravens are favored. So I am going to go with the Bears in this one.
Okay, very good.
Giants, Philadelphia. Interesting game because the Giants really could have won the football game last week, but we all saw what happened. And they got this Philadelphia team who has no AJ Brown, hasn't, lost the Giants the first time around. What do we do this time around? You know what? I'll take another upset. Give me the New York Football Giants to win this one at Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's say again, we pick tough here. We don't pick cupcakes. Last one, Packers Steelers. There were not Aaron Judge. Aaron Rodgers plays his former team, the Packers, at Pittsburgh. Really good game, but Aaron Rodgers ain't getting the victory this time around. Give me the Green Bay Packers. So I'll take the Bears, the Giants, the Packers. 3 road teams for the victory. Let me know in the comments. I make the right picks. Do we not? Are we happy that I'm not picking cupcake games? Let me know. And we have a comment from JR before we move off. Do you think Detroit will go to the Super Bowl? The Detroit Lions? No. And there's no. I say no, and that's just the bottom line.
I don't know. They have as much of a chance, certainly in the NFC, as any other team. I'm not gonna rule them out. But it's a little early to see whether or not. But I do think they have the potential to go to the Super Bowl.
I think no, because again, you beat Buccaneers last week because there was injuries. There was injuries on the field. There's a reason why. I mean, I don't think that they have a potential. I don't think they're going to beat the teams like the top contenders in the NFC come Super Bowl time. Just me.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with Tampa Bay as well. I'm impressed with Baker Mayfield, but I think Mike Evans got hurt again, and I think he is a key for them. So if he can come back, yeah, I do like them. I would say them and Detroit are the favorites from the NFC.
That's fair. Well, as always, Jim, I do not wish you the best of luck in our picks, and I think it's now time to go to college football.
Okay, and listen, you got to admit, I've been on a roll with college football.
At least you got college,
All right, so let's just recap last week, and it was a great game. Georgia and Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is for real.
Oh yeah,
but Georgia is Georgia, and they hung on. It was back and forth for a while, but Kirby Smart always seems to find a way to get it done. So they did win that game, and a lot of people were questioning Alabama. Are they really back? Is Ty Simpson the answer? And it appears to be yes. So they went out and they beat Tennessee, which was a tough game. A lot of people have jumped on the USC bandwagon, and they go and they lose to Notre Dame. So Notre Dame is starting to find. I'm happy about that. But here was the game that, and I've been anti LSU and Brian Kelly for weeks now, and a lot of people said yes, but they're still playing Vanderbilt. Well, Vanderbilt goes out and beats LSU, and this is probably going to cost Brian Kelly his job at the end of the season. So
100%.
But that was a very big win. Vanderbilt hasn't been relevant for 40 years, and it was just great to see. And Eli, you and I talked. Is Rutgers really belong in the Big Ten? Well, they come in. They have hosting Oregon, and Oregon coming off the big loss the week before. They just absolutely annihilated Rutgers, and I don't know what to say about the Rutgers program. When you're in a conference with Ohio State and Michigan and now Indiana, it's crazy. But that was kind of an embarrassment for Rutgers.
Hey, and shout out to Indiana. They got big noon kickoff there today. They have a big game against UCLA on Fox this afternoon. I mean, what a joy for them.
Oh, I know, and that's for our listeners, Tom Pugh and Derek Krug. I have become a believer in them. I'm really impressed with Mendoza. And again, they reward Cignetti with this monster contract, but they seem to be the real deal. And this is, obviously they're going to have to meet up with Ohio State at some point.
Of course, absolutely.
And that's going to be the
biggest challenge.
There. So, couple games this week. Indiana has UCLA. they should take care of business there. But you always hope there's not a letdown after such
Right.
big wins. Another good game is Ole Miss and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Um, that's a really, really good game. And
Syracuse, Georgia Tech, I like in the early 12 o'clock window as well.
yeah,
I
who's
like that
Georgia
game.
Tech playing?
Syracuse.
Syracuse. Yeah, Syracuse started out really good, and they have seemed to fallen off. But Missouri Vanderbilt is another really good game. Um, I don't know that Vanderbilt can continue this. I think Missouri's a little bit underrated.
Right.
So I'm going to actually take Missouri in that game against Vanderbilt. And then another really good game, it's Texas A&M and LSU, and I'm taking Texas A&M even though they're on the road. So
You also got Wisconsin, Oregon at 7 o'clock on FS1. That's a game to watch out for. And you
that's a
also have
good game.
Michigan, Michigan State on NBC. That's pretty good as well to take a look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tradition game, but Michigan State is in complete disarray. And of course, something we brought up too, that Billy Napier wasn't going to last the season at Florida, and he got fired last week.
1000%.
Yep.
You
so,
did. Well,
Wow.
enjoy your day of college football. That's for sure.
You got it. Okay.
Let's go to some random points.
Let's go to random points of interest. And of
I'm gonna
course,
kick it off
by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
Absolutely.
All right, Eli. I got a few of them.
All right, go ahead.
Interesting thing. And this was a little vindication for one of my all-time sports idols, Jack Nicklaus, who sued for defamation of character because he did meet with the Saudis, but he was talking, his initial concept was that they wanted him to design golf courses. And this whole live golf, you know my feelings on that, but he wins $50 million against his own company. And that was really indicative because nobody was more against this live golf than Jack Nicklaus. And I'm so happy for him. Not that he needs 50 million,
Of course, he doesn't need it, but yeah.
But it was the principle that he said, you guys are tarnishing my reputation, and that's unacceptable. And he wins that judgment. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Awesome.
And it was kind of funny here. We were talking about the Giants Broncos. Boy, you could see the hate between Russell Wilson and Sean
Denver.
Payton.
Wow.
Awesome. I mean, they just went off on each other. And, Sean Payton doesn't back down from anybody. But that was kind of an interesting thing. He ran him out of Denver, ran Wilson out of Denver. And now he's saying, I told you why, because Jackson Dart's a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. Interesting. Yeah. Eli, so as if we don't have enough sports, right? We do have the cornhole now, and there was some other silly sports that take place. The Women's Professional Baseball League, and I don't know how, and it's not just because it's a woman's sports. I mean, the WNBA has grown a big audience, but you can't get people to go to Major League Baseball games, and now women's professional baseball, I can't see the market for it. I don't know.
I do.
How this is going to succeed.
I do. Well, number one, there's so many athletes right now, female athletes in particular, that play softball and want an opportunity.
That's different, though.
Yes, but it's the same thing. There's after college, there's nothing else really after. I mean, once college, there's no professional softball, that you hear on every day. So I think it's good for, that there's something that can try to change it up, give more of an opportunity for these athletes.
Okay.
So
why not make a professional softball league? I think that would even take off more.
Maybe. Guy Carino says what?
Yeah. That means he's not watching it. I'm not watching it.
I wasn't surprised by that.
All right. Yeah. I got a couple more I'll get through here. And I saw this story on Bernie Kosar, former quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Had a pretty decent career, won a national championship with Miami in college. And he's even younger than me. And I saw a picture of him. So he's in declining health. And we mentioned Nick Mangold last week, and Bernie Kosar just looks terrible. I think he has some sort of kidney or liver disease, but I wish him the best because he was always a a classy guy
Yep.
in the NFL, and that's kind of a sad story. So I wish him the best. And how about this yesterday? In the North Texas game, and I don't recall a guy throwing for over 600 yards very often. Of course, it was North Texas, excuse me, versus Charlotte, but Drew Mastermaker threw for 608 yards last night.
Wow.
How often do you see that, right?
No.
That was pretty impressive.
How do you like that?
And of course, high school football today, there's a very big game in New Jersey. And I have my St. Joe's jersey on in honor of my Green Knights, who traveled to Bergen Catholic to play one of the best teams in the state. And that should be a really exciting game. If it wasn't at Bergen Catholic, I would probably go to the game, but it's such a nightmare to park that I'll miss half the game anyway.
All right.
But like I said, high school football in New Jersey is outstanding.
It
and
is.
I'd rather go to a high school football or a baseball game than go see a women's professional baseball.
Well, that is rude. But I know. Honestly, whatever I can get a ticket to, that's what I'll be grateful for. And whatever I can cover, as media, whatever we can cover, we're grateful for the opportunity.
Good.
And no matter if it's men's or women's, let's keep
All
that
right.
in mind.
Give me your points.
There we go. How about the New Jersey Devils? They're 7-1 to start the season.
They
I
are.
like it? No, I don't, because I feel like now we're just going to start losing 15 different games, and now we're going to be the worst team in the NHL. I just know that that's how road's going to work. But I'm happy that they're 7-1. But also they had a special night last night as organist Pete Canarozzi celebrated his 1,000th game playing the piano for the Devils at the Rock. So congrats to him on 1,000
good.
games with the Devils.
Mhm.
Always a fan favorite, the organ and the piano. I love it. Personally, that's just me. The NHL announced that All-Star Weekend will take place in 2027 at UBS Arena in Long Island. It is unclear whether or not that there will be a Four Nations face-off or another same old All-Star Game and Skills event. However, we want to point out that there were no Four Nations face-off or All-Star event this year due to the Olympics taking place.
And by the way, my Rangers are off to a very slow start.
Yes, which we're very happy about here in Jersey. The New York Liberty assistant coach Sonia Rahman has agreed to become the new head coach of the Seattle Storm. We talk more WNBA as former New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello will become the new head coach of the Toronto Tempo, the newest expansion team in the WNBA, which will begin next year. And last of the coaching changes, South Florida coach Jose Fernandez will become the new head coach of the Dallas Wings over in the WNBA. And we continue on.
There was also a hiring. Tony Vitello, the head coach at University of Tennessee, gets hired as the manager of the San Francisco Giants. That's interesting.
Yeah. Shout out to ESPN for not changing Inside the NBA. Always a funny show, and it's a pregame show and a postgame show. I'll be happy to sit through the whole thing and watch. It really is such an amazing show. I laughed so many times. It was great. So many great takes. It's such a good show. Of course, Inside the NBA is on limited time on ESPN, so be sure to check it out whenever it's on. One of the best in the business, and there's no question about it.
I don't do pregame shows, so.
But that's a show I will watch 1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah. SEC has suspended referee Ken Williamson due to controversial calls prior to last week's game. Wonder what that's about, Jim.
I'm not gloating. I'm not gloating.
All right, no problem. The NBA announced that they will once again paint the Larry O'Brien trophy at the center of the court with the final script logo on the court. After many complaints from fans, they finally listened, and we are getting that back on the Larry O'Brien trophy on the logo, which is awesome. On the center
Larry
court.
O'Brien was the commissioner of the NBA for a long time.
Yeah. The next is the Stanley Cup Playoffs and Finals logo next to the blue line. So come on, NHL, you can do it. You could put that back like the NBA did with the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Okay.
Next up, Denver Nuggets guard Christian Braun agrees to a 5-year, $125 million deal.
Okay, and another guy making $30 million a year in the NBA. Great.
Congratulations. Last but certainly not least, YouTube TV once again continues to battle. Last week it was with NBC. Now it's with Disney. It says its branch of networks, including ABC and ESPN, are in jeopardy again of going dark until a new agreement is reached. It will be going dark very soon. So unless a new deal is reached, that is going to darkness. What else is new? YouTube TV fighting with everybody, and that's my random
Yeah.
points.
Yep. Okay, good.
Well, it's time for what's your recommendation and the photo segment that is sponsored by Vital Selections. You can scan the QR code to learn more.
Okay. Here's my recommendation. Don't bet on professional sports.
Ooh, I don't know if I saw that one coming.
It's not hot dogs. It's not pizza. It's not restaurants. It's don't bet on professional sports. Go ahead. What's your recommendation?
Oh, Jim, you make me laugh. Well, of course, New Jersey is known for its incredible diners. So, what is your favorite diner? I don't think we did that yet. For me, it's called the Beacon Diner here in Fairview. Love going to the diner. Got awesome food. That's my favorite diner here in Jersey.
Got one
How
up
about
here
yours?
by me too, called the Pompton Queen, right up the road from me.
All right.
And you can't even get in there on even a Friday night. You can't even get in. Crazy.
You know what? Speaking of another one, the Candlewick Diner in Carlstadt. That's a one where it's a diner and you always have to wait, no matter what time of day you go. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
just like that. Yeah.
We do have so many great diners here in Jersey. So, of course, check out a diner here in Jersey. Let us know, by the way, what's your favorite diner. We'll love to hear.
Yeah. I did notice though that going to a diner is just as expensive as going to a fancy restaurant, by the way, now.
You know, yeah, it's true. But what else is not expensive these days? We can
I
talk
got it.
about that another day.
We got it.
Here we go with some photos. As Jim mentioned, I was at Big East Media Day this week with Bobby. Great to be there and covered Seton Hall sports. You could check out some of the photos and videos on my Facebook, Instagram, or X pages. So check that out there.
No, that's very good. Did you actually meet some of the coaches and stuff too?
Yeah, we focused mostly on Seton Hall, so we were talking mostly with the Seton Hall players and the coach, Tony Bozzella for the women's. We did not speak to Shaheen Holloway because he didn't talk to the media in the beginning. So, but we did talk to players. And of course, William was there. We got to hang out with William, one of our loyal listeners. Good to see him and catch up with him. So it was a great time.
Good. Very nice. Very nice.
Yep.
And here, Eli, I'll bring this up because I told you guys last week, this was a very, very special event for me and my family and Steven's friends. They had official unveiling of a bench in Oakland, New Jersey. And I'm going to read the logo because Steven and I were big Bear Bryant fans. And it says, it's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. And like I said, Eli, it was a great, great turnout on a beautiful, beautiful morning. And it's forever going to be there in Oakland, the rec field where Steven played and coached. And I know his son, Sean, was very, very proud of his dad.
That is awesome.
Great job. And by the way, so my sister drove all the way from Kentucky for the ceremony. And that's a picture of her and my daughter, whose birthday is tomorrow. So I wanted to give a shout out to my youngest daughter, Danielle. Happy birthday. And there's my grandson and my granddaughter who had an opportunity to go to MetLife Stadium, and she's a cheerleader now, so she got to be on the field. I've never been on the field, the Giant Stadium.
I have, and it was great. For a breast cancer walk, it was great to be there. And the turf is horrible. We can say that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there she is. If you zoom in, she's the one with the pom-poms on the left. Adorable as could be.
We're going to zoom out of that one. Hold on.
Yeah, there it is. That's a picture of my nephew Sean at the bench dedication for his father, and he looks just like his father. Great day. Great day. Oh, and these are a couple of other pictures. This was Steven. So Eli, I don't know if you know who that is, but I think a lot of our loyal listeners, that's considered one of the greatest players of all time. This was back in his college days. That's him with Gordie Howe, and that's an awesome picture.
That is awesome.
And here's one with the greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky. Look how young Wayne looks in that picture. So,
wow, that is awesome.
That was a great night for him and his college buddies from Boston.
And we have a couple comments I want to get to. First, Andrew says, "Good morning," and go St. Joe's. Good morning, Andrew. Diego says, "My recommendation is watch more soccer." Another one I would have never guessed, but thank you again, Diego, and well done, E. Appreciate it, Diego, and thank you again for commenting and for everybody. Thank
You
you, really
bet,
appreciate
amigo. Thank you. Thank you.
it. And now we do have some notable passings.
Okay. Go ahead, Eli.
Okay, let me just switch to graphic, and yeah, so we'll start off with this. Former Buccaneers Pro Bowl running back Doug Martin has passed away at the age of 36. He was born in 1989.
Yeah, and there's some questions surrounding his passing. But yeah, he was actually a pretty good player for the Bucks for a long. He had over 5,000 yards rushing in the NFL with 32 touchdowns. So he was a really good running back. Never got really a lot of notoriety. Didn't have a long career, but he was only 36 years old and he was a good player.
And lastly, former MLB star for the Mariners and Yankees, Jesus Montero, has passed away at the age of 35. He was born in 1989.
Yeah, he was one of the top 5 prospects in Major League Baseball for a few years, and it never really panned out. Certainly didn't pan out with the Yankees. I think it was a motorcycle crash or something.
Yeah.
But he was a relatively young guy too.
Yeah.
And I do have one, Eli, Larry Williams, because I brought up Bernie Kosar, Cleveland Browns quarterback, but one of his linemen who protected him for many years, Larry Williams, passed away at 62 years old. And, you know, he was a 2-time All-American at Notre Dame and had a very good career in the NFL. And one other one I want to mention, because I have a dear friend of mine, Bruce Orkamp, and I mentioned his son. We've actually had his son as a guest on the show. His dad passed away this past week, and I was an opportunity to go to the wake, and I wanted to send all my best wishes to the Orkamp family. And yeah, he was a nice guy. I didn't have an opportunity to meet him, health issues and so forth, but he's resting in peace now. And Bruce, just wanted you to know that we were thinking of you.
All right. Well, we had a really great show today. We appreciate everybody for commenting, for tuning in, to listening to us. We'll be back next Saturday, time to be announced. So be sure to stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on with the time and everything. But of course, we have more great content on the way and much more ahead. And as always, thank you as always. And be sure to send us an email, sportsmonomano@gmail.com, or leave us a comment in the YouTube chats. We really appreciate it.
Yes, we certainly do. And like I said, we're busy. We're focusing on really the sports, and we'll get to the Women's Professional Baseball League when it folds next year after 3 weeks. But
okay.
All right, everybody. You guys all have a great week. And Eli, great job at the Big East meeting.